1940s, World War II, German-occupied territories. A criminal Nazi regime gives unlimited power to frighteningly dangerous and unintelligent individuals, a power that should have never belonged to them. Influenced by Nazi ideology, these individuals are willing to commit horrific crimes in the name of what they believe to be the Aryan master race. One of these torturous monsters is Gerhard Palitzsch. Gerhard Palitzsch was born on the 17th of June 1913 in the village of Groß-Opitz near Dresden, then part of the German Empire. Palitzsch was a farmer by profession, and in 1933 he joined the Nazi Party and the SS. His criminal career in concentration camps started in 1933 when he became a guard at Oranienburg and Lichtenberg concentration camps. 3 years later, in 1936, he was sent to Sachsenhausen concentration camp, where he worked as a block leader. When in May 1940 the Nazis established Auschwitz, the most notorious concentration camp located in German-occupied Poland, Gerhard Palitzsch did not come into the camp alone. From Sachsenhausen, he brought with him 30 German prisoners with green badges. These mandatory colorful badges of shame, primarily triangles, were used to identify why the inmates had been placed in the camp. A green badge was set for convicted criminals who were likely of a tough temperament suitable for capo duty. The capos were prisoners in Nazi camps who were selected by the SS to supervise other camp inmates in exchange for better food, clothing, and housing, and they were often as brutal as their SS supervisors. At Auschwitz, Palitzsch became the report leader, and together with his capos, he unleashed a brutal reign of terror in the camp. His main responsibility in the camp was to carry out executions at the death wall. He did this job willingly and with a smile on his face, and when he was done with the killing, he gave the impression of coming back from a successful hunt. His specialty was to shoot prisoners in the back of their heads using a small caliber gun with a silencer. In the presence of a prisoner who survived the Holocaust, Palitzsch claimed that he was responsible for shooting some 25,000 people this way. He was proud of how many prisoners he shot and would frequently attend the roll call with his boots soaked in his victims' blood. He was allegedly paid 5 marks for each executed victim. Gerhard Palitzsch was a sadistic psychopath who enjoyed torturing his victims before killing them. He would whip the poor prisoners with 10 to 25 strokes and then chase them in the frog position for a 500-meter distance to the bunker, where they would wait for their execution for a few hours while being harassed and tortured throughout that time. No matter what time of year, the naked prisoners would be kicked and spat on before being executed. He enjoyed beating and killing even small children. On one occasion, Palitzsch ordered little Jewish girls to run around a closed yard. He would shoot at them, killing them like rabbits. After he had killed them all, he was seen calmly smoking a cigarette with a smile on his face. He enjoyed making his victims suffer as much as possible by killing first the children and then their parents, to ensure that they lived to see their children being murdered. After the war, one former Polish prisoner testified how Palitzsch executed a family of 5, parents and then their 3 children. The youngest baby, tied to the mother's chest, was killed first with a shot to the head. Then he shot the child standing between his parents. While the parents stood motionless, numbed with their shock, Palitzsch threw the eldest child onto the ground. As the child tried to fight for his life, Palitzsch stood on his back and shot him in the base of the neck without any remorse. Finally, he shot the mother and then the father. Shooting was not the only way how Gerhard Palitzsch used to kill the prisoners. On one occasion, he killed the parents of a child that had been left somewhere behind. When the child was brought to him, he grasped the little boy by his legs and with all his strength smashed his head against a wall. Gerhard Palitzsch hated Poles and used to kill them without any reason. Once, he shot several Polish officers who had reached the camp with a transport in August 1940. The reason for their killing was their refusal to kiss his boots. Palić was one of the main participants in the first mass killing of prisoners using Zyklon B. On the 3rd of September 1941, he participated in the first tentative mass gassing in Block 11 of the main camp, in which around 600 Soviet commissars and 250 sick Polish prisoners were killed with Zyklon B. Palić was also active in selections on the ramp. When his colleagues escorted poor victims to the gas chambers, they used to tell them that they would be given hot soup and a cup of coffee or tea. However, Gerhard Palić greeted the newcomers differently, saying, "We Germans have no sympathy for the enemies of the Third Reich like you. With joy, we will hound you through the chimneys of the crematoria. Forget your wives, your children, your families. You will die here like dogs." Gerhard Palić lived in the town of Auschwitz together with his wife and their children. In the summer of 1942, his wife Luisa fell ill during a typhoid epidemic and died only a few months later as a result of her illness. After her death, Palić became increasingly addicted to alcohol. In June 1943, he was sent to the Gypsy family camp, which was a part of Auschwitz. Romani families deported to the Gypsy family camp were held together instead of being separated, as was typical at Auschwitz. Palić's passion after the death of his wife was not only alcohol, but also women, including female Romani and Jewish prisoners. When he was caught with a Romani female inmate, it was the beginning of his end. It was deemed unacceptable for a member of the superior Aryan race to have a sexual relationship with someone deemed inferior, and Palić was accused of race defilement. However, he was also accused of theft, having enriched himself to a considerable extent by plundering the possessions of murdered Jews. These stolen possessions were considered the property of the Nazi Party. For these crimes, Gerhard Palić was sentenced to several years in prison by the SS and police court. However, he was subsequently pardoned and expelled from the SS in June 1944. In the end, justice finally caught up with Palić. When in late October 1944, the Soviet and Romanian armies started its offensive against Budapest, Palić belonged to the 33,000 German soldiers defending the city, together with Hungarian troops. On the 1st of December 1944, Adolf Hitler declared Budapest a fortress city, which was to be defended to the last man. There was no escape for Palić, as the Führer also forbade any withdrawal attempt. Gerhard Palić was 31 years old when he was killed in Budapest on the 7th of December 1944. The man who literally walked over bodies to satisfy his hunger for power was finally dead. There were no tears shed for Gerhard Palić. Thanks for watching the World History Channel, and don't miss our next videos. Click the subscribe button now for more interesting clips. Give us a like, and see you in the following episode.